Hello and welcome to the first ever guide-ish tutorial / explanation, whatever this is, of the Dark Messiah of Might and Magic Elements speedrun, which is different from the 2006 PC release. So currently I am the only runner of this game, which is why I am making this video, to hopefully encourage at least one other soul out there to try this run. Because being the only runner is kind of boring, and I would love to have more people run this game with me. My absolute, the goal that I have in mind is that I want someone to crush my world record, and I mean crush it. Currently, the world record stands at 1 hour and 52 minutes, and we can easily get below that 50-minute mark, easily. But this game has so much potential, and I can see a million different ways that we can do glitches, we can do out of bounds, we can probably do clipping through walls and such. And yeah, I think we can definitely shave down the time for this game significantly, and I mean significantly. I see it, but I need more people working on this game. It can't just be me doing it. So I'm hoping that this will at least inspire someone to give it a try, because I personally love this game. It's been my favorite game. It's the only game I've ever speedrun. So yeah, that would be a blast. So we're just gonna talk a little bit about the speedrun itself, and then some of the core mechanics basically, and then we're gonna go into the actual route that I currently have for this game. It is far from perfect, so please help me out if you want to. So let's just get started. Let's start talking about the different topics. The first thing is movement, or Seraph. Seraph is the guy you play as. He is a man of many faces, and at the same time, he has no faces, because he doesn't actually have a head. That's true. And how does that correlate to the game? Well, it does actually matter, because Seraph is made up of essentially two parts. Technically three if you count the arms and weapons, but mainly it is his head and it is his body. And what that means is that you can move the head without moving the body, which is different from a lot of first-person games out there. Let's just take the most obvious, I don't know, it doesn't really matter, like Counter-Strike, Call of Duty, Halo, whichever first-person game you've played. Usually in those games, you choose a direction by moving the head, and the whole body moves with you. That's not really the case in this game. When you move the head, Seraph's body will stay in place to a certain degree. So basically, you can kind of look at your own shoulders in the game, but then if you keep turning, he will also turn his body. So it is a bit less of a smooth feeling when you're controlling the character, but it's just something you gotta get used to. I mean, I've been playing this game for what, 17 years? I've gotten used to it. You'll get used to it within 5 minutes of playing it, honestly. So it's really not a big deal, but it's just something to know before you get into running it. The second super important thing about it is that when you're running in this game, you kind of drift a little bit. It's kind of like you're running on ice a lot of the time. And I think the reason why is because you're not actually controlling the body, you are controlling the head. And his body just kind of sticks to his head. But your body is still the part that has collision, his feet. That's what's keeping you on the ground. So it's this really weird thing where, it kind of feels like his body is just a chain attached to the head, but that still decides your position in the game. So yeah, it kind of feels like you're moving on ice throughout a lot of it. There's a bit of drifting. Again, it feels a bit wonky, but once you get used to it, it's not that weird. What that does, however, is that curved or slanted surfaces, or any kind of corner that is kind of rounded, if you're on a ledge that is slightly rounded, that is that's gonna be your doom. There is one specific example, and I think I'm gonna try and show it on screen now if I remember to put that into the video. There's one good example of this wooden beam in the ground, which is, you know, it's a square, it's square shaped, it's flat. But the corners aren't actually flat, so you will be sliding off of that thing so easily. So easily. Sereth has just a huge awful time with slanted and curved surfaces. Just something to keep in mind. It doesn't actually affect the run a whole lot, but again, it's just that, you know, that's the movement of the game, basically. Which brings us into stamina. In this game, you have a stamina bar, so you cannot just hold sprint the entire time. You actually need to be a little bit smart about the stamina preservation. And a few examples of this is during certain loading screens and cutscenes, or like when a certain character has a dialogue with you, you will be regaining stamina. So it's a really good idea to, you know, make sure that you've used up all your stamina before that happens. Same thing with if you're climbing a chain, you will be regaining stamina. So use up all your stamina to get to the chain, and you will be regaining your stamina while you're on the chain. That also goes for ladders. That goes for falling. You regain stamina while you're falling. Auto-scrollers like elevators, a lot of those in this game, you know? So be smart about it, preserve stamina for the moment you're gonna need it, but also keep in mind, oh right, there's an elevator coming up ahead, so I should probably use up all my stamina before I get there. Yes, momentum in this game. It basically works on the same way as the PC version does, which is that you can build up momentum. The difference from the PC version is that we do not have stuff like bunny hopping and all of that, because it's on the Xbox 360. It might be possible to do stuff like bunny hopping. I personally don't know. I've given it like, 5 minutes of trying, seeing if it's possible, but I don't think it is. But the actual thing of building up momentum is still there. That still exists in the game. Which is important for stuff like jumping. Certain jumps you do need to build up a lot of momentum for. So make sure that you just have a lot of sprinting before you make those jumps. There's only a few important jumps like that in this game. But it will affect your jumping distance and your overall speed as well. And this can be interrupted by stuff like, well, enemies body blocking you. That's going to be, the biggest sort of, what's the word? The biggest thing that you're going to encounter, basically. The foes are literally the foes of the game. They're going to try and body block you. They're going to try to be in your way, which not only physically blocks you from moving forward, but is also going to, slow down that momentum that you have. And weirdly enough, enemy arrows also do that. There have been many times where I have tried to do like a more difficult jump in certain spaces, and I get hit with an arrow like midway through the jump, and you just fall flat. The arrow will stop you in your place. So be mindful of that. And the last thing is that crouching is also a mechanic in this game. You can crouch, which typically, it's not a big deal. But we can actually use that in some places to go underneath doors just a little bit faster. Just like a lot of like bars and stuff that kind of like lift upwards into the ceiling. And if you crouch, you can go underneath them just, a split second faster. Not a huge deal. And that brings us to a sort of thing I'm trying to get better at, which is lining up and preparing for sort of the next chapters, the loading screens that you will see in the game. A good example of this is, I think it's in the, if it's in the second or third chapter, it's in the second chapter. There's basically like a loading screen right before you get to a ladder. So what you want to do is that you want to line up so that once you get out of the loading screen, you can walk directly up the ladder. And the reason for that is because you can actually move during the fade-in screen from a loading screen. So as the game is loading in, it sort of fades in from a black screen, but you can still move during that time. You just won't see where you're going. So do your best to just think ahead of like where you want to be before you get into that loading screen. And you can just, yeah, you can line yourself up to do something like climb the ladder or, you know, run where you need to go. I don't know. Whatever. Again, something I'm trying to get better at because I'm not really that good at it quite yet. We're early in development here, guys. Item management. Good thing to know. Picking up items generally wastes your time. In general, you know, because first off, items on the ground have such an annoying hitbox, and accuracy with your Xbox controller is kind of not great, you know? So picking up items most of the time is just gonna waste your time, which is what we're trying not to do. Now, I still think that you should be picking up items. Good examples of this are quivers, because you're gonna need arrows. Health potions are really good to have, just in case. You know, obviously you want to try not to lose health. You don't want to die. But it is kind of nice to have a few health potions, like, you know, as a backup in case you need it. Mana potions are also useful if you want to use the telekinesis scrolls, which I have been using more lately, and it is very fast. Telekinesis is extremely powerful in this game, so using that for a few boss battles is probably worth it, but it does consume mana. So yeah, I'm still a bit unsure if it's like worth to pick up a lot of the mana potions. Trying to figure that out, that part of it out. But yeah, so just be a little bit smart about which items you're picking up, why you're picking them up. In general, in this game, we're not going to be picking up like any weapons, stuff like that, because we don't really need it. There are only a few select weapons that we're going to be picking up. We pick up no armor whatsoever, so try not to die. The first weapon we get is the Bow of Winter's Breath. We're actually going to ignore the bow and arrow that we get early in the game, and we're going to wait until we get the Bow of Winter's Breath, which we get in Chapter 2. And that's the only bow we need for the game. It is strong, it is good, it does the trick extremely well. We're not going to go out of our way to get some other weapon. Along the way, we also get the Blade of the Life Weaver, which are daggers with the life-stealing property. Now, you have to pick up these blades in order to proceed through the game, which is really convenient, because that means we're not really wasting time on picking them up. We would have done it either way, so just getting a useful item out of it at the same time is great. Like I said, they have the life-stealing property, which means that if you start getting low on health, just start hitting enemies, and you will get your health back. Super good. Another super useful item is the Ring of Regeneration, which is in Chapter 5. Liana, which is an NPC in the game, she kind of does her own thing. She's super slow. She has to walk all this way. While she does that, you can go and pick up the Ring of Regeneration, which, as the name suggests, lets you sort of heal up passively over time, which is also extremely useful because you're gonna be losing health, especially from a lot of, you know, risky jumps and whatnot that will deal fall damage to you. So all three of those, very crucial, at least as of right now. And that brings us to sort of the prep right before the run, which is, what class do we pick? Classes were not a thing in the PC version, but they are now. There are 4 classes. It is the Warrior, the Mage, or Wizard. I can't remember really what they call it. I think they call it the Mage. It's the Archer and the Assassin. From my personal experience, the Archer is the best class to pick for a variety of reasons. The first one being that you have the bow, which is incredible for damage. Headshot damage with the bow is insane. You can one-shot most enemies with a good headshot. It is also really good because hitboxes in this game is really, really weird. So doing a power strike with your daggers, chances are you're gonna miss. Because, again, the hitboxes are weird. There's a lot of auto-aim that kind of messes you up. Especially if you hit an opponent and they kind of, you know, stagger, they fall back, or they, like, sort of fall onto one knee, go closer to the ground. and then you go in for another power strike, then you're just going to be hitting air. Because the auto aim puts the cursor where they were at, you know, eye level essentially. So having the bow is way, way better because that is just going to make it a lot easier for you to aim where you want to aim. And the arrows always strike true. They go pretty much straight. There is a bit of a drop if you're aiming for something really, really far away, but that's not going to be an issue. So just aim where you want to shoot and you're going to be good, basically. We love the bow in this game. Another thing about the archer is that they also have access to the knives, the daggers, which is the only class except for the assassin that can use the daggers. And again, this is good because we get the life-stealing daggers later in the game. Daggers are also just really strong in general, very good weapons, so we love that. Another thing is that the archer is the only class to get the sort of rapid fire arrows technique, whatever you call it, the perk that they get at a level up. I don't remember which level. I think it's fairly early. I think it's like level 3 or something. And what that allows you is that if you charge an arrow, you let it fly, you can instantly draw another arrow. Drawing arrows in this game takes a long time. It feels really slow and sluggish, but because we're playing the archer, we can actually do it way, way faster. And that's not only useful for fighting, but it's also extremely useful because a key item in this game is the rope bow, which allows you to place ropes to sort of function as chains from the ceiling, you know? You can put them where you need them to be, and you can climb. And chances are you're gonna miss sometimes, because you can only use it on wooden surfaces, so you're gonna be missing quite a bit. So having that quick draw of just drawing another arrow instantly, super, super helpful. The archer is also the only one out of 2 classes that gets the heal spell, which you know, in an optimal setting, you wouldn't need the heal spell, but it is extremely useful. It has saved me many times. It is, as the name suggests, it is a spell that just heals you. You get it pretty darn late, but it is extremely useful in dire situations. The archer is also a class that gets the lock-picking feature, which is useful one time in the entire run. Still, that one time will save you time, so that's good. And because they have daggers, they also get the dagger throw trick, which is pretty straightforward. Basically, in this game, if certain enemies are trying to escape from you, you get like a finisher move. And with the daggers, what that move is that he basically, Sereth, he flips the dagger to throw, and you can throw it onto enemies from a range. The thing about that is that dagger throw deals insane amounts of damage, so it practically one-hits almost anything. So what you can actually do is that if you have an enemy, like a black guard, that's the first enemy you'll encounter in the game, if you get them to low health and they start running away from you, you can charge the dagger to throw, aim the cursor onto another enemy coming at you, and you can throw the dagger onto that enemy. So let's say that you have 5 enemies coming towards you. You only need to bring one of them down to low health so that they start retreating. Then you can just charge your dagger onto that guy retreating, aim onto someone else who's full health, instantly kill them, keep doing that onto the other 4 enemies. And then finally on that 5th guy who was trying to escape. Super useful. It makes certain battles much, much quicker. And you also have the rage feature, which is just that it allows you to unleash these super attacks on command. And the dagger throw is one of those sort of, you know, big moves that you can do. Really, really useful, especially for boss battles. Though, for boss battles, I've noticed that using the bow and arrow is actually way better than the daggers. But still, that is a mechanic in the game, the rage feature. So, be a little bit mindful of that rage bar that you get. You get more rage the more you fight enemies, sort of. It's a bar that builds up the more you hit enemies. So being a little bit smart about when you use your rage is key as well, because you want to have your rage ready when the boss battle kicks off, right at the very beginning. So, you know, don't use it right before a boss battle if you can avoid it. But yeah, it's good to have for certain situations as a little backup. And yeah, that's basically it. Those are all the things that are worth keeping in mind. You know, those are all the things that like will happen and are important during the actual run. So how do we start the run? Well, the run starts upon pressing confirm while choosing difficulty. And for some reason I keep forgetting this, so I always start the run when I pick class, which is wrong. You do it after you pick your class, then you get to choose difficulty. We play on easy because it's about running, and that's when the run starts, when you press confirm on easy. The run ends when the screen turns black after placing the Skull of Shadows back on the altar. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Basically, you place the Skull of Shadows back on the altar. There's a bit of like a 1-2 second moment there where the screen sort of starts to fade into white, and then it flips into a cutscene which is black. And it is upon that flip to black that the timer stops. I personally use live splits for this because that's what people told me to use. Unfortunately, we have to do all the splits manually. What splits you use does not matter as long as you start the timer upon selecting your difficulty and you stop the timer upon that black screen appearing. Whatever splits you want to use does not matter. The timer, however, must be running the entire time. If you pause the game, the timer must remain running. I'm sorry. Which sucks because, you know, the loading screens, you know, if you have a stronger console that can run this game, that's going to be an advantage, which sucks, I know. But I've not found a good way of, you know, making that more fair for runners, but I'm hoping that's something that, you know, we could discuss if anyone wants to run this game with me. And yeah, that also means no segmented runs. You can't edit a run. It has to be one consecutive run. I want to see the clip rolling for the entire 2 hours. So because of that, it is a huge advantage to skip cutscenes, which is also another thing I kind of forget sometimes. Skip cutscenes, because cutscenes are gonna take time. As soon as you know a cutscene is gonna come, skip it if you can. But yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to have said. This took a lot longer than I thought it would. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go through this list in like 5 minutes. Not really. So what we're gonna do now is that we're gonna take a look at the actual route, which is what you've been seeing in the background over here. So we're gonna go through that. I'm gonna play it at like 2x speed or something. We're gonna try and make it a bit quicker. We're gonna watch it together. I'm just gonna go through trying to explain best I can. And yeah, I'm gonna make sure that this video also has like timestamps, that's the word, for everything, so that it's easier to follow, because I know no one's gonna want to watch this, you know, super long video. So yeah, let's do that. Let's start with the prologue. Let's go. Alright, so here we go. We're gonna review some footage. This is my current world record that we're gonna be watching. And, yep, here is me not realizing, again, that timer starts upon confirming the easy difficulty right here. So that's what I'm doing. There we go. Yeah, so that's where the run starts. You can see the timer down right. We get a cutscene right off the bat. Skip it. We skip the cutscene. Then we have a loading screen for the prologue. And then we have yet another cutscene, which we cannot skip, unfortunately. So these are the splits that I use, which is just one split for each chapter. Again, it doesn't matter how you choose to split it. Really don't care, as long as the timer is running the entire time. That's all that matters. I will probably be adding some sub-splits in the future for certain things, because some of these chapters are a lot longer. I don't know if you can see it very well, but the Temple of a Spider, for example, is really long. Oh, it doesn't look like it here because I seem to have messed up my splits at some point. But yeah, Temple of Spider is significantly longer than all the other chapters. Fire in the Blood is also kind of long. Anyway, the run starts. We start moving. We're just going to walk up these stairs. We're going to jump on this chain right here. Go to the right. And there's a guard in front of us, but we're going to ignore him. Instead, we're going to head over here and pick this up. Break the little barricade. Jump onto the chain. Jump over there. In this little shed, we have a key. I know the quality isn't the best, but I hope it's still easy to follow. We grab the key. We ignore the guard. We go through this little cavern space. Very straightforward. And yeah, I don't really have any points to talk about during this. Also, I said I was going to play this at 2x speed, which I forgot. So maybe I should redo this. Or I don't. Maybe I just put it on 2x speed now because editing sucks! Let's do it, guys! You get to see my creative process live. There you go. We're watching it at 2x speed now. Beautiful. Editing is for fools. We're gonna pull that lever, wait for this guy to come down. We can instantly kill him. Then we have this guard, which... I don't know if you can kind of tell what I was trying to do there. That guard, because we have the daggers, we can do the finisher on range. So if you get him down to low health, you can just sort of go to the bars where you need to be, and then throw a dagger at him from range, if you get him down to low enough health before doing so. 2 guards in here, we kill him, we grab the spider key. Now here, important thing, I run past these guards, put in the spider key to start opening this door. But then I hit the guards to get my rage bar up, because we're gonna want to have that rage bar at full for when we fight this first boss, which is the spider. So we switch to the bow and arrows for accuracy and damage. Wait for it to kind of stand still so I can actually hit it. Use the rage, shoot it. Then we have to wait for this thing to unlock. We grab the crystal, and that's the prologue. Super simple. We then have a cutscene, which I just skipped right there. We wait for the chapter thingy to go through. We have an auto-scroller coming up. Yay! That's basically the auto-scroller. You just sit on your horse for a bit. If we could find a way to skip that entire section, we would save ourselves a lot of time, which would be awesome, but there's a way to skip it on PC by using quick saves and quick loads and stuff. Can't really do that here. We run to the chain, jump up. I was not able to get to the chain there on my first sort of stamina bit. Here's what I was talking about the ladder. Try and use as much of your stamina as you can before you get to that ladder, because you'll be regaining it while you're climbing it. This guard is a bit annoying because he will do that, body block you. I think the best way to... like, he will walk towards you no matter what, so I think staying on the left is the best, because then he'll be sticking sort of against the wall best he can, and then you can just walk around him on the right. Then go kill the Cyclops as usual. And we get this lovely little cutscene. Who doesn't love this? Seeing an undead Cyclops get stabbed in the eyeball. Yeah, so the thing about that cutscene is that, like, all the guards in it are, like, actual real NPCs, as well as the Cyclops. So they all need to be in position. So if you get unlucky, the guards will kind of get stuck for a while, and they just stand there staring at each other for, you know, a few seconds before they sort of kick into place. That's the kind of sort of thing that you can expect here, basically. We now just run out of this tower. We get stuck on the door because I don't know how to play this game, apparently. We then just walk straight to Leanna, go talk to her. She's going to talk for a bit, and then we're going to move through the portcullis. Portcullis is what I call it, because I do not know how to say portcullis. Because that's not a normal word you use in your everyday life. And she's done right here. She's going to talk to the guards up top. Here's sort of an example of how we can crouch just to get in a little bit faster. But in this specific example, it doesn't actually matter because we still need Leanna to follow us in order to do that. We're now on chapter 2. We're moving fast. Chapter 2 starts. We're gonna grab the daggers that are on this little bench. I was gonna say it's not a bench. Is it? What's it called? The dresser, that's the word for it. We're gonna grab the daggers, and we're gonna be using these daggers for quite a while. We're not gonna pick up the bow and arrow because we do not need them. Right here, you can just make a bit of an early jump to get on top of there. I just went back to show this again because it's a bit of a funny little thing. So you got stairs on the left, which the game wants you to walk up and then walk all the way over. But we can just run straight ahead and jump up. And here's a bit of a funny phenomenon. I don't really encounter this much in any other place in the game. But if you look closely, you'll notice that, like, I'm not really looking where I'm jumping. Do you see what I mean? So what's happening there is that I'm actually climbing up on the right side, even though I'm not even looking at that ledge. I mean, I'm coming in at a bit of an angle. The thing I'm trying to say is that you do not necessarily need to look where you're going when you're jumping. Not sure how that works. It feels like when Sareth tries to grab a ledge, sort of the hitbox for his hands grabbing the ledge. I don't know how to explain it. It feels like it's more like a circle around his body rather than whatever he is facing. So look at it again. He runs forward, and I'm grabbing the ledge basically just with my right hand. That's what it looks like. Super weird. Not sure what that means, but hey. We get another loading screen for the next chapter, and there I tried to line myself up a little bit by sort of going into the loading screen at an angle, so that when we get the fade in, I can start moving by just holding forward and left to sort of get around that corner where we need to go. So as you can see, I was already moving at that point, even though the screen was black. It was not a perfect execution, but hey. Ignore the guards, run up here, ignore more guards. We go there, we go left. We go all the way through into the portal, ignoring yet more guards. A lot of loading screens, guys. A lot of loading screens. We're then here. Unfortunately, at this point, we do need to kill these zombies in order to proceed. And they will be coming out of the ground. The thing is, you can actually damage them while they're coming out of the ground. But if you do it too much, they will fully regenerate their health. So what you kind of want to try and do is to hit them while they're getting up out of the ground, but not too much. Because if you do that just to where they get low on health, then you can just hit them once when they're actually fully standing up, and that's just going to make killing them a little bit faster. Now, I lost a lot of health here. I'm not sure what I did in order to do that, so I actually decided to stop for a second and grab a health potion that was inside that box right there, just to save myself in case I need it. And I actually think I end up using one of the health potions right here. You need to grab that key, which is on the guard, but it's very easy to grab the guard instead, which sucks. There we pick up the Bow of Winter's Breath, which is the bow we're going to be using for the rest of the run. Here, there is some fire that will try and kill you, but they deal minimal damage, so we just run through them. We don't care. We're back here again. Again, as you saw, I started moving during the fade in because I know where I'm heading. You walk up to, I think this is the second floor, third floor, I can't remember. Just keep going up into this building. Here's the lineup I was talking about before. There's a loading screen right before you get to that ladder. So try and line it up to where when the fade in comes, you can just hold forward. Just hold forward and you'll start climbing up the ladder. As you can see, when once we get like the vision back, once we start seeing what we're doing, I am already up the ladder. That's what I'm talking about. We get a checkpoint, try and run past these guards. Those two guards there specifically will try to body block you best they can. Here we have a cutscene that we cannot skip, unfortunately. I have tried, though. You can kind of do some wonky things by like jumping at a specific timing, and you will actually sort of fall into the room while you're being frozen. Which, I mean, it only saves you like a step. Technically, it would be faster, but I don't know. I haven't put a lot of time into it. We're now at Chapter 3, Dead Man's Trail. Funny thing about that is that we can almost hit the chapter 3 trigger already from chapter 2. I've not figured that out quite yet, but I think it's possible. I think it's possible. So we just chase the ghoul best we can. The ghoul is gonna drop stuff on us, and I got stuck here. I got really stuck here. Usually goes a lot smoother than that, but not in this case. I also used my rage because I misclicked. I'm not an experienced runner, that's what I'm trying to say. Right there, the ghoul is gonna stop and hit a civilian. That is our chance to run past the ghoul. Which is good, because that means the ghoul can't body block us for the rest of this little chase trial thingy that we're doing. Again, trying to line myself up a little bit before we jump into that loading screen, because that means that during the fade in here, I can just hold forward and I should be like at the end of this hallway. Right there, you see what I mean? And I take a right here and I go through the sewers, and I don't actually know if this is like the best routes or if it would be faster to go through the main entrance. And the guard is usually up here on the stairs. I don't know, I need to do some, need to try that out. We need to kill that one guard and grab his key so we can open the trapdoor and go down below. Same thing here. I go through the secret entrance rather than going through sort of the main path. What that does is that we avoid a lot of enemies, but again, I'll have to give it a try. I'll need to compare the times of whether or not it's actually worth it. So right here, we need to steal the crystal from Arantir, and the way we do that is that we open the cell doors for the civilians, and we just run up and grab the crystal. The game kind of wants you to be sneaky and is like, oh, you need to crouch, you need to be sneaky. No, you don't have to do that. You can just run up, grab the crystal. We're now on chapter 4. It's moving fast here in the very beginning. Chapter 4, right before, a lot of 4s here. There is a cutscene before you get into chapter 4, so make sure you skip that. Chapter 4 starts. You have this little thingy going on. And Liana, the NPC, who we absolutely despise, is going to be just up ahead. Now, we want to make sure we trigger her to sort of notice you so she starts doing her thing. Otherwise, we can't proceed. You have a quiver right there, which is really nice to get some additional arrows. There's also a health potion, a mana potion up in the box that you destroy up there. As well as the telekinesis scrolls, which are also super helpful for certain fights. Liana's just going to talk for a bit, and then she's going to open this way for us. I've attempted to see if there's a way to get through there without her doing it. No success there. We jump into the water, and we can actually just climb into this window right away, crouch through it, go down, and then up here, we need to kill the guard upstairs to grab his key in order to proceed. Grab it right there. And then I just run until I get to where I need to go. This shaman, I was gonna say, he's a necromancer. We need to kill him. The best way to do it is basically just to grab a barrel and throw it at him so he falls to the ground and you can execute him. No success there though, because if you're holding a barrel and the enemy shoots you, it will destroy the barrel. Now there are 3 guards in here that you need to kill, so that's what I'm doing right now. Boop, there we go. I'm also killing this guy just because he was annoying. You don't actually have to do that. We're now up on deck, and we need to kill all the guards that are up on deck. I messed up my power attack there. Bit of a womp womp on my part. And I have actually found a way of getting up onto this deck already from the very start of the level. Or like from the docks, without having to jump into the water and going through the entire ship and all that. I've actually found a way that you can get up on the docks right away. The problem with that, I've only been able to do it once. It is extremely difficult, and most of the time you will just die, because you will get fired upon as you run across the docks, and the ballista deal insane amounts of damage. So yeah, I'm still figuring that out. But you see what I mean? There's a lot of potential here. So then we run downstairs, and we have to kill all the guards that are coming at the ship as we are preparing to leave. This part really bugged for me. It bugged out a lot. I don't know why. My ballista just didn't work. It didn't deal any damage for like half of it. I tried to grab the other ballista. Didn't work. This is a bug. This happened, well, not this specific bug did not happen during my first run, but another bug did, and here we are. Both world record runs have a significant bug in them at the very same spot. So as you can see, I'm firing, but it's not exploding, but then it kind of does explode after like 5 seconds. I assume it has something to do with the Xbox and its CPU. Its ability to process all the thingamajigs. But yeah, what you're supposed to do in a bugless environment is just to sit in this ballista and kill all the guards. So basically we had about like a 1 minute 30-second time loss here because of the bug. Which is also why I believe that we can easily get below that 1 hour and 50 mark if we just don't have this bug happening to us. Yeah, again, I need to go upstairs, kill that guy, because I do not trust Liana to do it. And just as I say that, Liana is now downstairs, which she is not supposed to be. Again, we despise Liana because she does stupid stuff like that. And then this guard just comes out of nowhere. But there we go. Objective completed. Finally, we can proceed. Or rather, we would if Liana was in her spot. So at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to reset. This is not ever gonna work. But I gave it a few more seconds. I gave it another minute or so. Yeah, I have no idea where Liana went. No idea where she went. But we need to talk to Liana because she has to open this door to us. Here I'm talking to Birdie the Bird. Birdie the Bird saved my first run. Unfortunately, I had to kill him in order to do so. But he did save the first run. So, Birdie the Bird, he's kind of the god of that map, of this chapter, Across the Sea of Blood. Because he controls everything, it appears. So, yeah. But we have to wait for Liana to open the door, then she has to talk for a bit, and then once she has talked, we need to wait like 10 seconds for the objective to update, and once the objective have updated, then we can pull the anchor. There we go, yes, and that's chapter 4. Super chaotic, I know. It's not supposed to be this way. We skipped the cutscene and we're now in chapter 5. Look at us go. Chapter 5 starts with yet another auto-scroller, so we're just gonna be sitting on a boat for a little bit. Funny thing though is once you get off this boat, at least on my copy of the game, there is a good chance that you just start swimming through the ground. That's the thing. So I try not to do that. I try to move best I can, and you will actually see that I kind of get stuck for a second. Yeah, right there. So what that is basically that my character is starting to fall through the floor. Now you didn't see it right there, but I actually jumped at the very end before this cutscene started. And what that allows you to do is that it allows you to see Sareth from a third-person perspective. Is that important in any way? No, it's not. But you'll see that he does not actually have a head, which is kind of funny. So here I am, I'm using my bow, trying to not use too many of my arrows. And I'm trying my best to hit some headshots. Switch to the daggers right there just to get the finisher. Yeah, I was not having a great day with my aiming this day, so I ended up using my daggers anyway. But you can make this fight extremely quick if you just hit those headshots with the bow and arrow, so. It's kind of what you see what I'm trying to do. There you go, there's the headshot. Yeah, and then there's gonna be more enemies. Now, if you leave one enemy alive, you can, a lot of the time, actually just ignore them. And you can go here where you need to go to get the Ropo, while Liana is fighting the enemies. If you leave too many alive though, then she will die. But just like one orc alive is typically okay, and she'll be able to heal herself. But I don't actually know if that saves any time necessarily, because you still need to kill all the enemies at the end of the day. So I'm unsure. Kill those 2 orcs, we go upstairs, and here I like to be a little bit sneaky. We just wait for this guy to get into position. I then drop this wall on them, just so I don't have to kill 3 orcs. Kill this 1 orc, and at this point, Liana is actually walking behind us, really far away, but she's like slowly making her way to us. So that's a good time to just grab the Ring of Regeneration on that table. And here I'm just trying to sort of get her into position, waiting for her to go where she needs to go. And she's gonna talk to Duncan, which is a character that we love. Duncan is awesome. But yeah, the Ring of Regeneration, very important item, at least as of right now, because it heals us, and we like healing because we're gonna be losing health in a variety of ways. So passively getting that health back is amazing. So we pick it up on the table, we equipped it right away. Now in chapter 7, I think it is, you actually need to remember to re-equip the ring because you automatically unequipped all your items there, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, we used the rope bow, we go in here, we kill the orcs at the altar here. Try and hit them in the head, but my aim was just not great this day. So I was missing a lot. Also, did not want to use too many of my arrows, just in case. Thankfully, enemy archers will often drop their quivers, so you can get some arrows back. Once again, we're just waiting for Liana to do her thing, which takes a long time. We do not like Liana. Right here, there is a lever behind this big rock. Yeah, so I'm wondering if there's a way to just pull that lever early. Haven't found it yet, but working on it. Super important right here. You need to go across here and get into this secret area. But it's important because inside that chest right there, you have 2 scrolls of Sanctuary. We really want those scrolls. Scroll of Sanctuary is such a crucial item for the run because it saves so much time. What that spell does is that it makes you invincible. You can't take damage while the spell is active. And what that allows us to do is that we can just jump off of cliffs, essentially, and not die. So we will be picking up 3 of those in total throughout the run. I know of the location of 2 more, I think, but I don't see them being useful right now because you kind of need to go out of your way to get them. So I can't think of a way to incorporate them into the run quite yet. But yeah, Scrolls of Sanctuary, we love them, we want them. Right here, Liana is going to start to try and lift this other rock, and then a Paukai arrives. So right here, what you want to do is that you want to get the Paukai's attention. He is automatically going to start aggro on Liana. So you need to hit him at least once, and it's really difficult because he flies around really fast. Once you notice that he's kind of looking at you and you know that you've got his attention, run into that room, drop the portcullis onto his head, and he instantly dies. And yeah, there's another little loading screen, and we're just gonna start moving here as soon as the fade-in starts. So there, as you can see, I've made a lot of distance already. Once you fall down into this little pit, turn around, keep walking until you get into the big opening, take the first left. That's where you want to go. We're then going to shoot 2 shots right here with the rope bow. And here is that famous plank I keep talking about that has rounded edges that you will very easily fall off of. I had a lot of trouble with it this specific run. Grab the chain, jump onto the first rope that you had, jump onto the second rope, jump onto this chain, and you're out. Which is funny, because as a kid, I absolutely hated this part of the run, and now it's over so quickly. Just keep moving along, nothing special. Wait, okay. Don't mind my Twitch chat, by the way. Yeah, I love my friends very much, even though they say silly things. We're gonna go through, we're gonna open that gate so the water level rises, and you can actually jump while you're in the water to grab that. They grab the ledge early. We take the path on the left, which brings us forwards. Right here, you can actually jump onto that ledge instead of having to use the ladder, which saves you like just a teensy amount of time, but it is a time save nonetheless. I failed it. I messed it up, messed up the jump right here, unfortunately, but you can do that. It is typically pretty consistent. I was just having a bad day, I think. Keep wandering through. We can just ignore these orcs. Don't have to care for them, really. Keep moving through the map into this portal. And this is a map, or level, or area, actually, I suppose it would be, that does not exist in the PC version. Those planks right there are so annoying. They can really mess you up. So you hit the planks, you get a chain, which you can jump off of. Make sure you jump to the very end. Like, get as close to that lever as you can, because if you jump too close to where you are, you will actually, like, break the floor, like the little ledge you're on. And then you have to jump back up all again. These orcs, or goblins, I mean, I have no idea what they were doing. They were glitching out quite a bit. I think it's actually faster to kill them with the bow right there, but I did not do that because I just did not feel confident in my aim this day. We go up, we jump on there, we can jump through here. If you touch the acidic pool right there, I don't think it matters because you don't lose that much health anyway. We hit this wooden thingy. What's it called? I can't remember. We hit it, we trigger the lever, which causes a cutscene, and that way it can do its thing while we're in the cutscene. Just saves a little bit of time. Now, interesting part right here, I actually, because I was not having the best day, I actually chose to go for the chains that are on the other side of these bars, which means that we need to wait. What you can actually do, and I have footage of this, so I'll try and show it on screen, you can actually just jump straight down and land on the ox head that is on the ground here, which saves you just a little bit of time as well. It's not huge, but it is a bit of a risky jump. If you mess it up, chances are you're gonna die. So I just wasn't feeling very confident this day. I've only messed up that jump once, so it's really not too big of an issue. But I did not feel like dying and having to replay everything, and yeah. So I just went for the safe route. We then have to shoot down these 4 little ropes here, and the hitbox, again, it can be kind of weird. Even though it looks like you're aiming like directly onto the rope, it does not work. So there we pick up the Blade of the Life Weaver, which are the new daggers that we're going to be using. They have a little bit higher damage, but mainly they have the life-stealing property, which is what we want, because if we get hit by enemies, we can hit them back and regain that health, which is very, very nice. We then take a left once we get out of here. Do not take a right, or you're going to not be having a good time. We go up these stairs, and the orcs are going to be coming at you, so getting past them can be a bit difficult. Sometimes you can do it without issue, sometimes not. Sometimes you have to kill them. Right here is another load trigger, or loading screen. And this is one of the times where lining yourself up is important. So you can move on the load, on the fade in right there. I didn't do that because I did not feel super confident about my lineup. And if I were to mess that up, then I would have just fallen to my death. So as you walk across here, you can see I shot a rope into the ceiling to get up onto the 2nd level, which is where we need to go. You then walk out here. There was an orc that just jumped off a ledge. I don't know why he did that. He's never done that, but he did that, and he actually died too. So I'm very confused as to what that was. Anyway, what you're supposed to do right here is that you're supposed to sort of walk around. Let me show you. Here's the orc jumping off the ledge. No idea why he does that. So what you're supposed to do is that you're supposed to walk up here and into a cave. So on the right here, there's sort of a cave entrance, and then you go through that cave. You come around on the other side, and there's like 3 different houses that you need to go through in order to get inside of this house. Turns out you can just go directly into this house if you make a safe jump. You'll lose a bit of health, but we have the ring and we have the life-stealing blades. So just drop down right there. You need to go in there and pull the lever, which activates the elevator, which you have not seen because we ran past the elevator. Right here, I make a safety save because this is a very scary jump. You can very quickly get down just by dropping into the water. That way you take no fall damage. But if you mess it up and you land a bit weird, then you soft lock yourself. Because you get stuck in a loop of dying. So that's why I make a save right there. We just go here. We can take a little bit of a quicker path by just jumping straight down. Lose a bit of health, but it's usually not too bad. And now we can finally go up this elevator. And right there, I made sure to hit those goblins for a little bit of extra lifesteal, just so we get some health back. We have this elevator section, auto-scroller. Good time to just think about life, I suppose. But we eventually make it to the top. Go through where we're meant to go. And boom, you can actually make this jump. I don't know if it necessarily saves a lot of time, but I imagine it does. So you can just jump onto that. It's a little bit scary, but you can make that jump and get the crystal into place very, very early. So we now have the Aratroc fight, which is, I would say, the second, like, you know, real boss fight. And we're gonna fight him with the bow. Using spells here will trigger the other orcs. I accidentally shot one of the orcs in the background, which made them angry. If you can avoid that, do it, you know. But I shot Aratroc, and I sadly missed my second shot. That would have killed him instantly, so now I'm in for a fight. Usually you can just one-shot him right here. We grab the key off of his corpse. We walk through the door. No issue. And we're almost all done with this chapter. Again, this is the longest chapter of the game. It takes a while, but it's really not that bad. Yet another elevator sequence here, so you can finish those thoughts you had about life. Just while waiting. There's a bit of a dialogue you can listen to if you wanna. And we walk through, we go to the right, get back to Liana, and right here, you can position yourself kind of closer to the door, because Liana is going to be in the spot right there. I'm kind of pointing it out in the video. Exactly, that's where she's going to step. So if we just run past her when you get into the room, you can get her closer to where she needs to be in order to trigger her thing, you know? Because she moves slower than you do, so instead of just running up to her and talking to her, run up to where she needs to be, and you save yourself a little bit of time. Then the bars open, you can crouch underneath the bars, and then you just run while Liana is getting killed. And we're on to chapter 6. Amazing. And with the magic of editing, I am now wearing different clothes, and I have done my hair and everything. Chapter 6, right, that's where we left off. This is actually a chapter that I used to just despise. I did not like this chapter at all. But when I started speedrunning it, it was actually... It's now like one of my favorite chapters. I actually really enjoy it. I'm having some really big issues hitting that trap right there. Honestly, I don't even think we need to hit that trap. I think you don't take that much damage anyway. So just walking into it is probably fine. Probably better than taking the risk of missing all those shots. But we grabbed the first crystal, we placed it into the spider. Funny thing here is that, I don't know, if you've seen a run of the PC version of the game, you probably know that you can actually grab 2 crystals through, sort of, through the wall here. And you can still do that in the Xbox version as well. The only problem with that is that you only get 2 when you need all 3. So I have not found a way that we can really use that quite yet, but I think there's just immense potential for this chapter. Not only because you can grab those crystals, but also because I've also found a way of going out of bounds in the very beginning of this map. So, Altar of the Skull, I think, is probably the chapter that has the most potential in terms of, like, glitching and stuff. But it's also one of the shorter chapters, so the time save... Wow, I can't speak. The time save would not be huge, but, you know, if you make a lot of discoveries in a chapter like this, where it seems very simple, then we can obviously implement that into other chapters as well. So yeah, we're just going through the map. There's gonna be a zombie. No, right, I keep getting this wrong. This is not the zombie. This is where we need the rope bow to go up where the Dragon Fang sword is. And there's a ghoul right next to us who we're just not gonna care about him. He's usually not that big of an issue. I kind of messed up my jump right there. Bit of a bummer. And pull this lever to open the door. Now this, it's kind of bugged. Again, I don't know if it's just my copy of the game, but this little section of the wall here that's supposed to open doesn't always open. And still, like, part of the wall has collision at that point, but like the leftmost part of the wall does not. So as you can see, like, the wall is still open despite the fact that it's not supposed to be. And I'm having some really big issues right here just getting through to where I need to be. So I was honestly thinking that I might have to reset at this point, but I do actually make it through here at the very end. By taking just a little bit of a safer route, chugging some health potions. Yeah, I lost a lot of health in this run, which you typically don't really need to. There we go, that's a lot better, and then I got through. Yeah, so that whole section of the wall is actually meant to open up. But for some reason, it doesn't do that on my copy of the game, which is kind of stupid. We're then just gonna wind this thing. There's gonna be like 15 zombies spawning around you, but they're so slow that you have more than enough time to just open up the gate and walk through. Similar scenario right here. There's gonna be a lot of zombies spawning around you. Just don't care about them. Make sure you land on that little ledge right there, that little piece of rock that gets destroyed, because if you go too far to the right and you just jump right down into the hole, you can actually die. I assume it depends on how much health you have, but I have died there because I did not land on that little rocky ledge. Soon as you drop down here, turn around and just run. It's a bit of a maze area, but the exit is like right behind you, so. And then there's gonna be on the right. Bit of a slow section. You need to get this checkpoint, and then you need to wait for this tomb catacomb thingy to make its way out of the wall. You can kick that right there just to get a mana potion, which would be helpful for in case you want to use telekinesis. We're not going to be using telekinesis for this fight, however, because we have the bow and we have a rage bar. So this is a good sort of example of when you would want to make sure that you have your rage bar filled up before you get here. So I'm just waiting for him to sort of get into position, and then I'm just going to rapid fire rage arrows at him. 3 arrows was more than enough to kill him. And then we just proceed through the map, through the level. Another loading area. I forgot to turn it up to double speed again. Wow, not that big of a deal. But we already have 2 out of the 3 crystals that we need. Funny thing is, this crystal right here is like, this is the room is right next to the room you spawn in. So if we could find a way to just get through these bars right here, if we could just get through these bars, then we could finish this level, you know, like within 2 minutes, honestly. And the trigger for like placing the crystals into the spider statue is really weird. Yeah, still haven't really figured out how to do that. I just kind of spam click the button and just hope for the best, basically. Sanai is gonna do her little monologue, and then this little section of the wall will open up for us. Unfortunately, we have to wait for it. Kind of sucks. But yeah, so we have a way of getting 2 of the crystals early. Then we just need that 3rd one. If we could just make our way through the wall somehow, easy. Alright, so just like in the PC version, the Skull of Shadows is hiding inside that section of the wall. Now, how you do it in the PC version is that in the PC version you have a lean mechanic, which allows you to just, lean. You just sort of sway to the side. So what you do there is that you will just sort of walk up against the wall and lean into it, and that way you can just grab stuff inside. We can't do that in the Xbox version. We do not have that lean ability. But I did find a way to sort of get it to work anyway. I mean, obviously, because I was able to grab the Skull of Shadows, right? What do? You just walk into the wall, like, keep holding forward and jump. Because when you jump, when Seraph sort of lands... Actually, I need to talk about this. When Seraph sort of lands, he sort of rocks forward a little bit, and that is enough for you to get your head through the wall to grab the Skull of Shadows. So yeah, just hold forward and jump. I'm still a little bit unsure of like the exact placements you need to be in to find the Skull of Shadows. There's a lot of items inside of that wall. You'll see a lot of like different little A buttons. I don't know exactly which one that is the Skull of Shadows, so I just tend to, jump, spam the A button, and just do that until I get it. Perhaps not the best strategy, but it works sometimes. And right here, we're now on to Chapter 7. This is something that I learned from watching runs of the PC version, so thank you to the Dark Messiah community for uploading and, keeping runs that are like 8 years old. Those are the runs that I've been watching, because in those runs, they did not have a lot of the, quick save, quick load strategies. They didn't have a lot of the glitches and out of bounds and stuff that they use today. So being able to go back, 8 or 10 years and watch how they did the run all that time ago has been super helpful for me to optimize this run. And this is one of those things that I learned about it. So there is actually a trigger right here, if you just walk into that corner, that allows you to open this door, this locked door, which is super weird. But that's the thing, yeah. So it's like, it has like a locking mechanism on the other side, but if you just walk into the end of that hallway and walk back, you sort of get a trigger that allows you to just open that lock. I then bring up my rope bow and shoot those planks right there just to get through a bit quicker. And then we're gonna shoot a rope right here. Now the geometry of this sort of track is insane. It is like slick freaking ice. You move so fast on here. And it's really scary. I also did a safety save right there because that jump is also really scary. But doing that, we completely skip the Cyclops fight, we completely skip the spider section, we completely skip the rope bow puzzle, and yeah. We skip quite a few minutes by just doing that instead of doing it the intended way. And yeah, we're now going to Ruby. Another little thing that I really wish we could skip. I've found ways... Or I've attempted to find ways of skipping this whole section, because really all you need to do is just get through one door. And you can actually see like the other side of that door from the beginning of the level. So it feels like we should be able to get past that somehow very easily, but I've not been able to do it. But if we could figure out a way to do that, then we could skip this entire section, which would be awesome. Because, I mean, this whole fight takes a few minutes, and it is kind of tedious. It's really annoying to be stuck here, and then you have to watch all the scenes, and you need to do all the dialogue, and it's really annoying. So we're just in this arena where multiple enemies are gonna come at us one at a time. We have to wait for them to spawn and stuff, yeah. So it feels like we're on the brink of just finding a way to skip this entire thing. Here I tried to use telekinesis to see if I could quickly deal with these orcs. Did not work at all. So I ended up just using my good old daggers and arrows as well. Again, I was not having my best day in terms of aiming. So I didn't really end up using my bow as much as I usually would in this run, because I just felt like, you know what, if I'm going to be missing all my shots, then I'm just going to be wasting time. So here I choose to use my rage on those two necromancers, because they are kind of annoying. Then there's a ghoul here that you need to kill, and he turned invisible, so that's also a thing that happens in the game. So what I ended up doing is that I just walked underneath those planks that you can break, and sort of just waited for the ghoul to come inside, though he was invisible, but I could still, you know, sort of feel him, feel where he was. And I also chug a few health potions, and I also equipped the Ring of Regeneration. That's super important. When you start Chapter 7, you will automatically de-equip your items. So make sure you re-equipped that ring, because you're gonna need it. I've been losing so much health during this run. I usually do not lose this much health. So I'm very thankful that I picked up all the potions along the way that I did. Typically, I would not do that. Like I said before, picking up stuff is typically a waste of time, because hitboxes for picking up items are weird. Anyway, we have basically a copy of the Aerotroc fight right there. Just another, like, orc leader guy, gladiator kind of thing. Take out the bow, use your rage on him. Shoot him about once, or twice, or 3 times if you're really unlucky. We then get to go through this door, right here. The doors are now open. So yeah, if we could just somehow get past that, that would be awesome. I found a way to sort of get up onto the other side of the door, but there's 2 doors, and you need to get in between them, because that's where, like, the lever for the chain is. Here, I got a little bit confused, because I always forget that you're just supposed to drop it to the water right here. And then we have the worm section, the Rolum, I think that's its name. The giant worm, yes. The goblin god. And I feel like there's a lot of optimization that could be done here. Because unfortunately you need to sort of go into these spots where the game wants you to go. Because if you don't, the worm will just keep hitting you over and over again. Really, really quickly. So the game is sort of trying to force you to go into these little nooks and crannies to hide yourself. And yeah, that's it. That's the worm. Very quick, very easy. If you just do it right. Like I said, if you do not go into the nooks and crannies that the game wants you to do, then you will most likely die. Though I do suppose, actually, that's an idea. Just, yeah, what if we use Sanctuary? Worth thinking about. Anyway, right here, you're going to have these little flying things that are going to be super annoying. But what we're trying to do here is that we want to shoot 2 rope arrows. One onto that plank right there, and one onto, like, the top of the sort of building where the goblins are. Or actually 3, I think, is what you end up needing. I only did 2 here, but 3... Yeah, you need to do one that's, like, on top of the building, one that's below the building, and then one that's on the plank up on the left. So you'll jump onto the bottommost one, jump onto the middlemost one, and then up on top of the one at the very top. Like so. There you see. That's what I mean. Yeah, so you can shoot those ropes pretty early when you're at the bottom, and then you can just keep fighting the flying, whatever the majigs those monsters are. Other than that, it's mostly just a auto-scroller. And then here we have these little carriage thingies that will carry us across. Just ignore the goblins, whatever. There's a chain right here which we're gonna jump onto just to get off the carriage ride a little bit earlier. Doing that also despawns an orc that would normally be there. This little Indiana Jones section, I've not been able to find a way to sort of just not trigger it. I think it's possible to just not trigger the pressure plate, but I've not been able to do it. So now I just kind of don't care about it. I just walk into that little nook in the right corner, and there are health potions in there. So since you're stuck in there for a time anyway, you may as well grab those potions. We're now at the very end of chapter 7. What I do here is that I just shoot a rope arrow right there. I just drop and grab it. And that's been like the most consistent way of doing this for me. I don't know if it's necessarily the fastest way of doing it, but it has been the most consistent. Alright, chapter 8. We are ready to go. We're going into the House of Ashes. So we're just going to run straight to the portal. These guys are going to try to body block you, but just try your best to avoid them. There's going to be one black guard right here with the bow and arrow. And like I mentioned at the very start, arrows shot by enemies will slow you down. So try not to get hit by them. And then we're just going to jump down here, land on those crates just to sort of break our fall a little bit. These apprentices that run around, they're completely harmless, but they will body block you quite a bit. They also have this really weird thing where I think they have like little scrubs or something. Like a little, for scrubbing, little sponges, basically. And those things have collision. They are very small, but they have collision. And they will just screw you over quite consistently. It's actually really annoying. Because they will throw them, like, in front of you, unintentionally throw them in front of you. Because they, like, get scared and they just drop their item. But if that thing, like, falls in front of you, it will block your entire momentum. Like, you will just, boop, stop in your place. It's really weird. Anyway, I rolled back a little bit, because this is going to be our first sanctuary jump. So you have this whole, like, library section with all these stairs. We're just going to ignore those stairs. We're going to jump right off, and we're going to want to try and land here at the very bottom. And then we use the sanctuary scroll that we have. We only have the one sanctuary scroll at this point, but we could have had 3. It would not be a huge time loss, but we could have had 3 actually. I want to look into that. What if we went out of our way to get those additional sanctuary scrolls and then use them against the worm instead? That is an interesting route possibility. Other than that, we just grab the orb, which is a key that we can use for doors, and then we just move through the level. Try not to get blocked by those apprentices. House of Ashes, I personally think is... I like it. I think it's fun. There's a lot of sort of... I would say it's the most, like, body block heavy section. Because there's a lot of, like, narrow corridors and stuff, and there's a lot of enemies. So this is really where you get to practice sort of avoiding enemies. So I think it's quite fun. Then we move here through to the right, and there's going to be a wheel right here that we need to crank. Now, I position myself sort of a bit to the left, and I'm also going to crouch. The reason why I do that is because I want to be up against the bars. Because sometimes when the enemies hit you, they will actually push you a little bit. And a thing that kind of happens on occasion is that the enemy hits you and they push you through the bars. So by, like, making myself as small as possible, I can actually just get, like, a little bump by the enemies to push me through the bars, which saves time. So that's awesome. That's Erentier's office. We need to read his book, but when we get into his office, we wanna interact with the little lamp thingy that he has next to his bookshelf, because we want to go into his little secret area there. Because inside of the chest, we have 2 more scrolls of Sanctuary that we're gonna need for the final chapter. Now, if you were doing like a lawfully good run, you would be saving Liana here, but we're not gonna do that. Besides, Sana is way better in every way, so doesn't really matter. We're gonna take this elevator that brings us back up to the top, and we're just gonna go to the end of the level. And that's it. That is the House of Ashes. We move on to the City of Flames. In the City of Flames, we do stuff. There's gonna be a lot of fire in houses. because it's the City of Flames. I don't know. In the PC version, there was a way to sort of skip this dialogue with Duncan right here. I tried to do that same trick, and you can kind of do it. Like, you can do the first part where you jump off of the ladder to grab the ledge. That works. But for some reason, they added invisible barriers. So you can't actually skip the cutscene. It's really weird. We go through here, we don't care about the ghouls, we don't care about the enemies at all. We're gonna go through this side, and this puts us into a secret area. More importantly, it's the back door to Percy's place, which means that we do not have to kill any enemies. Usually, you would be forced to fight a lot of ghouls, and it takes a long time to kill all the enemies, and then Percy will be like, okay, it looks safe now, I'll let you in. But if we just force our way through his back door, he's just like, okay, well, I guess you're in here now. So, yeah, much quicker to do it that way. This is the one moment in the entire run where we need the lock-picking feature. Yet another advantage of playing the Archer. Now we're waiting for Duncan to just come with us. Here's another trick that I learned from watching PC runs. Some of the older runs that they have from all those years ago. Once Percy gets on the ladder, you can just hit him and he disappears. And he's there holding the door for us, so that's awesome. I love that it works on the Xbox version as well. Another thing that I think I've forgotten to mention, but whenever there's a ladder that we need to go down, I try to not use the ladder. I try to just sort of go on the side and drop down, because that way we don't have to sit through the entire, you know, animation of climbing down the ladder. Just a small optimization. We then have to move this barrel, jump up here, jump on the chain, jump through here, just make our way to the very end. Nothing big about it. It's gonna be a ghoul right here. I tried to save a little bit of stamina before that ghoul arrives, because the ghoul is sort of programmed to meet you halfway across that bridge. So if you just save a bit of stamina, you can sort of walk to that halfway point where the ghoul is meant to meet you, and then run after you see the ghoul. That way the ghoul will just run past you and you can just proceed without being body blocked or getting hit by the ghoul. Here we want to walk up the stairs, make sure that we trigger Percy's animation. That way he'll sort of get in motion. But we then also need to make sure that we kill the two ghouls, because if we don't, they will run after Percy and kill him. And thus we lose and have to replay. So go into this section, ignore all the enemies, just go and open that little crank right there. If you get damaged, you now have the heal spell, which should be on your secondary wheel if you press the RB button. Which just allows us to heal while doing actions, unlike potions. Actually, if you equipped a potion to the wheel, you should be able to use the potion while interacting, that's true, but still. We're getting very close to the end of this chapter, which means that we're also getting very close to the end of the run. It has been a blast. A Paukai is gonna spawn, and you need to either kill it or ignore it. I think the game even like says so, that it's like, kill the Paukai or find another way of dealing with it or something like that. We're gonna move through here, we're gonna hit those little planks, start spinning this wheel, which is gonna open the big door on the other side. I just wanted to go back to show you. We hit the planks, we then start spinning the wheel, and I try to position myself as close to the hole as possible. And not only because that's gonna make the distance between, you know, where I need to go a little bit shorter, but also because otherwise, you know, you have like, I think it's like 3, 4, 5 guards right here that are gonna be hitting you. Those guards will try to position themselves behind you. So you want to make sure that you have no open space behind you so that they can do that, because if they do, you're gonna be stuck, and then you need to kill them, and then you need to spin the wheel all over again. So try to position yourself as far away from the wheel as possible so you're closer to that hole in the ground. We then need to open the door, unlock it, then open it, run across, and right here, jump. Once you see those like black bars come into frame, jump and try to get as close to the other end of the room as possible. Part of the reason why is because that makes the distance to the next spin wheel a little bit shorter. And that means that we need to... we'll take less hits from Leanna, basically. It's just going to save a little bit of time. We're just going to spin the wheel. Leanna doesn't actually hurt you much. And if she does, then you can just use your heal spell. Another funny thing, if you jump, like I just instructed, she loses more than half of her health. I don't know why that is, but she loses most of her health if you do that. If you do that little jump. Doesn't actually matter since we don't kill her anyway, but hey. We're now in the epilogue. And we get this cutscene with Istvan, who is just hanging out. Really unfortunate. It's also quite loud, that cutscene. Like, he does a scream. That is pretty annoying. Okay, here's another sanctuary drop. Right there. You just walk off the ledge, turn to the right, use sanctuary, and you get down to where you need to be. Here's the scariest jump in the entire game. Boom. I made it. First try. Think loud. Yeah, so that jump, very scary. I'll try and see if I can show it off better, actually. Let me turn down the speed here, just so we can get a better look. So, what I tried to position myself is right here. To the right of this little rock on the ground. This rock is always going to be there, so it is great for setting this up. I tried to be on the right side of the rock, but still quite close to it. Now, I don't think you can see it here, but sort of right here where my the point of my dagger is, there's like sort of a triangular point in this stone, in this rock. It is sort of orange outlined because it, if you step on it, it's gonna drop into the void after like a second. But that's still enough time for us to jump off of it. So there's sort of this point right there. And on the other side as well, you can't see it because of the quality, but if you're playing the game, you will know what I'm talking about. There's also another point right there. So we're trying to jump off of this first triangular edge and land on the next edge. That's gonna be like right over there. And this is by far the most difficult jump in the entire game. And this is also why I talk about needing momentum. There is an archer on the other side of this cliff here, who's gonna shoot you with arrows. If he shoots you with an arrow, then you will not make the jump, because you lose momentum. I've died here because of that, because he shot me while I was halfway through the jump. Really scary. So the way I do it is that, you know, I get very eager and I want to jump. So what has worked best for me is that like when I get the natural urge, like I should jump now, I always wait. When I get that urge, I make sure to wait. I just like take a deep breath and I'm like, now, you know? Like I give it an additional second before I jump. And that's what works. It is extremely narrow. Like, I think there's only such a small window to make this jump. It is very difficult. And on top of that, you get a white screen. So a lot of the time, you're not even gonna see where you are. Just to make things better. But you can just barely make it onto the other side there. And if you manage to do this jump, it's gonna save you so much time. So much time. Because otherwise, you need to use the ropo. You need to climb up on top. You need to walk around everything. So that is a very crucial jump, actually, for the run. But yeah. That's usually it. That's like, you know, I fear that. And it sucks that it's at the very end, too. Obviously, it would have been a lot better if that jump was at the very beginning of the game, because then, you know, reset points. But it's right here at the very end, just to make things really, really scary. On top of which, you also have this pressure plate right here, which I always take a second to compose myself, make sure I have stamina before I go into this room. Because if you trigger that pressure plate, you will be locked in there for like 2 minutes. It's a trap that triggers where you get locked in, the bars sort of come down, forcing you to stay in there, and then it's gonna shoot fire for a little bit, but it just takes time. You're not gonna get hurt too much, but it takes a lot of time. Here I used that telekinesis scroll to grab this rock, just use that to kill all the zombie liches in this area. Kind of lost the rock a little bit there. So using telekinesis and the rock, it deals so much damage, and especially against these enemies for some reason, they just cannot handle it. So huge time save to have that telekinesis scroll with you. Also another thing that I sort of learned from watching PC runs, and this is also why you need mana potions, because telekinesis drains your mana like crazy. This lich was kind of camouflaging himself against the background, so I had a difficult time realizing where he was. I assume you can also use rage right there with the telekinesis actually, to make it go just a little bit faster. I assume that it makes the damage a little bit greater. Here's our last Sanctuary jump. We're just gonna walk off right here, use Sanctuary, and land at the bottom. There's a lot of chains in front of you right there, so you wanna try not to grab those chains. You just kinda wanna gently walk off the edge. You don't wanna jump, because if you jump, chances are you're gonna grab the chains by accident, and then you're gonna have to sort of correct your position and find your way down before your Sanctuary runs out. And that's it. We're now at the very, very last little bit of this run. What we're gonna do is that we're gonna grab the Skull of Shadows. We're gonna place it back onto the altar where it sits, and that's gonna be time. So again, sort of the most crucial thing right here is just stamina management, because we wanna have stamina. Preferably, we wanna have like a full stamina bar once we get to the bottom of these stairs. The reason for that is because there's going to be enemies in here that will run up to you. They will try to body block you. So having the stamina to just sort of outrun them is really, really good. Also, if you can make this jump just to land on top of the stairs is nice. We're going to walk over here, we're going to crouch, and we're going to try to find that little sweet spot where you can actually grab the Skull of Shadows. Just like that, and time when the screen turns black. And that is the run, guys. That is the current route. I don't have much else to say. That's what it looks like right now. If anyone wants to run this, please do, because I'm lonely. Like I said, the dream is to actually have a few people who are, you know, in love with this game as much as I am, that, yeah, would like to play it, run the game with me, because I think the game has so much potential. I mean, this was just the any percent run. There's also, you know, I kind of started to look at 100% runs as well, you know, or like an all relic run. I have this insane idea, and I mean insane idea, which you can actually do, which would be the all achievements run. That run would take you about 8 hours, I think, like 6 to 8 hours, because you would need to play every class. But it would be a really funny run. It would be a really funny run, but it would take so much time, but the concept is there. It's really funny. But yeah, the game still has so much potential for out of bounds, a lot of glitches. I hope we can find a way of clipping through the walls, because that would save us big time. And yeah, there's a lot of potential here. Things that you cannot do in the PC version, or rather there are things in the PC version that you can't do here, which to me is exciting, because I'm sorry to say it, I don't like the PC run. It's like 13 minutes. Why is it 13 minutes? Because all you do is quick save and quick load. 90% of the PC run is just loading screens. I don't like it. So that's why I chose to run this game instead. It's the version I grew up with. It's the version that I love. I thought, hey, we need this, and yeah, immense potential. We can bring down this time by a lot. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I hope to see you guys. Speedrun.com, Dark Messiah of Might and Magic Elements. Please submit your run. Lots of love. See you next time.